Welcome to this introductory PoolParty product session. Before we start our first hands-on tutorials, I will introduce you to some basic concepts you need to know when building a taxonomy with PoolParty. PoolParty is based on the SKOS standard. We will see how this relates to other standards and the semantic web technology stack. And then I will introduce you to the basic element of a taxonomy, a concept. We will see how different kind of labels relate to concepts, and then we dive deeper into the anatomy of a SKOS taxonomy and see how concepts, top concepts, and concept schemes build up to a knowledge model. We will also address which kind of relations we can use for developing the taxonomy. Yes, and with this theoretic knowledge you are good to go. In the following learning session you will use this knowledge to build a taxonomy with PoolParty, and we will guide you step by step through this process. PoolParty applies the SKOS standard, a standard recommended by the W3C consortium. SKOS stands for Simple Knowledge Organization System and is a simple ontology that allows also beginners to start building thesauri after a short training. SKOS is a widespread standard and is also compliant with the ISO Thesaurus standard. So by learning PoolParty you also learn SKOS. There are many organizations who are using SKOS and who provide taxonomies, so for many knowledge domains you can reuse existing knowledge models and adapt it for your applications. How does SKOS relate to the semantic web? It is based on the RDF scheme as many other ontologies as well. When you model your data with PoolParty, your data will be based on the RDF format. SKOS is only one knowledge model you can use in PoolParty. You can also model your data based on other industry ontologies and standards which apply the RDF scheme. For example, FIBO for the financial industry, or schema.org, or vCard, and you can also model your OWL ontology in PoolParty. In Model 3 you will also learn about the query language Sparkle. What I basically want to indicate here is that when you base your application on the SKOS standard, it is fully compliant with the whole semantic web. When you structure your knowledge in a model, as for example it has been done in this case with cocktails within PoolParty, the system creates for every concept a URI, so that it gets recognized in the applications that rely on this knowledge model. And the data which you structure here is based on the RDF model. This means a concept is described in the form of subject, predicate, object expressions, which is also synonymously called triple. The semantic expressiveness relies on the data explicitity which is given through the URI and its metadata enrichment. Apricot brandy is a triple as it is a SKOS concept. The concept apricot brandy is annotated with the metadata SKOS concept by the system. So every concept you create will be described by several triples in a database. And when you start building relations, this become additional triples. Here is an example. Apricot brandy is part of brandies. What you have to keep in mind is that the query language Sparkle relies on RDF and URIs. Through RDF and URIs, your data becomes machine readable and can be exchanged across applications that use the SKOS standard. Your data, represented in triples, have a semantic layer that increases the preciseness of meaning in applications. With SKOS you can build taxonomies, but you can also progress towards more sophisticated knowledge models as schemes and ontologies. And when you have a knowledge model in place, you can run very precise text mining and data analytics operations. PoolParty covers all of these three domains and you will learn how to work with them in this e-learning program. Now I want to introduce you to the main elements of a taxonomy in more depth. Let's start with concepts. I already mentioned concepts and I think you can intuitively grasp what it is. You see here the concept Manhattan. If it would be a term, a word, a label, it would not implicitly state if this is the cocktail Manhattan or the city Manhattan. But as a concept, it is embedded in a broader context which the taxonomy provides. Synonyms or somehow related terms to the concept, which we call in SKOS alt labels, are all attached to the same concept in SKOS, which makes meaning very precise and is the foundational idea behind the semantic web. But adding a multitude of terms to a concept also requires to decide for a preferred label. In this case, the concept Manhattan also corresponds with the preferred label Manhattan, and also language tags correspond with the same concept. In this case, we added the Chinese equivalent for Manhattan cocktail. Please get used to this terminology: concept, preferred label, alternative label, language tag, as we will use it continuously through this course. When you take a look at the taxonomy about cocktails from before, you see here a SKOS dashboard for the concept Manhattan. Here you would define your pref labels and alternative labels among others. And when you take a look at the taxonomy tree, you acknowledge instantly that Manhattan is included in a broader context. First of all, it is part of a project dedicated to the domain around cocktails. And second, it is part of the concept scheme cocktails. And this taxonomy structures this domain even more precisely and introduces the structuring elements, aperitifs and digestives, where Manhattan is included. In SKOS you can work with 3 hierarchy levels. In PoolParty this looks like that. The first blue tab is the project, which is called Cocktail Taxonomy Essentials. The purple tabs are the concept schemes. You can think of them as categories. So we have beverages, cocktails, garnishes and other ingredients, glassware. The dark green tabs are so-called top concept, and these are structuring elements for the taxonomy. It provides a further hierarchical structure, but top concepts are by nature also concepts. So when you take a look at the concept scheme cocktails, we have differentiated a couple of top concepts as aperitifs and digestives, duo cocktails, IBA official cocktails and so on. And below the top concepts you have a list of concepts as Americano, Bijou, Bronze. You can add as many hierarchical levels you need. You can also add within concepts hierarchy levels, as you see it here with Spritzer, where Spritzer Veneziano was related to Spritzer in a narrower relation. But usually working with concept schemes, top concepts and concepts provides you with enough flexibility to build your knowledge model as you need it. Take a look at these 2 taxonomies about cocktails. It is about the same domain, but completely different in its knowledge modeling approach. The project is called the same, Small Cocktail Taxonomy, but the concept schemes have been differently chosen. In option 1, we decided to differentiate alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic beverages at the concept scheme level. In option 2, the taxonomy obviously suits a different purpose. At the concept scheme level, we differentiate cocktails and wine. In option 1 we have included the top concept cocktails. In option 2 we differentiate 2 top concepts, alcoholic cocktails and non-alcoholic cocktails. This small example demonstrates how much your conceptual approach can vary and is actually supported by the software. You saw how the context for a concept is given within a taxonomy through a hierarchical structure. But we started out with the concept as our focal point. Indeed, what we described through concepts, top concepts and concept schemes is actually a graph. When Spritzer Veneziano is related to the concept Spritzer, which we describe in SKOS as a broader relation, it is actually through this relation, of course, also an aperitif and digestive. And we describe this as a broader transitive. And a broader relation works in the different direction as well. Spritzer Veneziano is a narrower concept of Spritzer, and Spritzer is a narrower concept of aperitifs. With PoolParty, you manage your knowledge graph in a hierarchical manner that gradually increases in complexity, and keeping the graph structure in mind is essential for your knowledge modeling process. So how does your thesaurus evolve? Through labels, attributes and relations. Let's have a closer look at the SKOS dashboard in PoolParty. You see here the SKOS dashboard for a concept, the cocktail margarita. On the right side you see the labels and attributes, And on the left side, you see the relations you can manage. Broader and narrower relations follow a hierarchical structure, and you can go beyond broader and narrower relations, which is basically the taxonomy tree, through using related concepts. Let's assume you want to indicate that margarita is served in a margarita glass. Margarita is part of the concept scheme cocktails, and margarita glass is part of the concept scheme glassware. By using related concepts, you can relate concepts out of different concept schemes. Remember, SKOS allows you to build taxonomies in an easy way. With custom schemes and ontologies, we will create much more specific relations, as we will need it for more sophisticated knowledge graphs and more expressive knowledge domains. When you go to options, you can extend the SKOS view to advanced, and then you have even more relations and attributes for your disposal. We will introduce more of this during the course, but if you want to have a detailed view on how to use the SKOS taxonomy elements, we recommend you the SKOS Primer, a document that describes the theory behind SKOS knowledge engineering. Now you know how the SKOS standard relates to the semantic web. You know that you create data triples that are essential for the semantic expressivity, and that you create single URIs for your concepts. You know that based on SKOS you can extend your knowledge model towards custom schemes and ontologies, and that these knowledge graphs are the basis for text mining analytics. And we went into medias res and talked about the SKOS anatomy with its most important elements, concepts, top concepts, and concept schemes. You know that concepts can be related through broader and narrow relations, as well as related concepts. And you are aware that you can enrich your concepts through labels and attributes, where we spoke about the basics, but there are advanced possibilities to extend the SKOS view on a concept. Now you have everything you need to know to start building your first taxonomy. I wish you fun with my colleague in the first hands-on session. She will guide you step by step through building your first taxonomy.